Okay, I just want to go over a little bit about how deconversion is played and maybe kind of play those out. The first part is, well, setting all this stuff up. One side's golem, one side's ogre. It doesn't really matter. You have 6 lives each. Of course, one's bigger than the other. It's kind of meant to, I'm going to say, reflect the asymmetry of the game. But I might actually change that in the sale version of deconversion. So both the meeples are the same size, even though it could be a reference to the asymmetry, as you'll see. You don't want to fill in the GAS because that happens each time you go to money. It's really just there to mark if you want to remember how it was on your last money pickup. So you have the die, and you roll it, and that's a 6. So let's say green goes first, and then they fill in. Six. It doesn't really matter whose side's white and whose side is black, but it should be set up in this pattern: the GAS first, and then the rest of the 1-letter ones, and then the 2-letter ones. The 2-letter ones are the attacks that you can buy, and there's 8 of those, and then there's 9 of the ones that aren't gas. Gas is a reference to Pink Floyd. Money is a gas. The GAS stands for Glimmer, Asset, and Security. And we can get back on that later. So, red would roll the die and do the same thing with his F. He rolls a 5. And you want to do this before the game starts for all 20 of the values, which you change up every 6 turns. So here's the playing board. I mean, you look at it and you think, well, that'll be easy for me to get to him. Really? Because in order to attack them, you have to have a length of message and also a attack on the front of that. So if your message is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you wanted to travel that way, or 5, you wanted to travel that way, you can travel many different ways. You have to do your message from this point. And it might be like you can attack the 2 vertical and horizontal, or the 1 horizontal and the 1 vertical. So you could attack here, and you could attack here. But the diagonals are the 4 on the side, so horizontal, and then, well, I guess any one of those. Sorry about that. If your attack is horizontal, it could be any one of those, or any one of those, or horizontal would be that one and that one. So the vertical would be either that one or that one, and the diagonals would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's some overlap there in what you can attack with that attack, but I think that's all right. To start out, you want to put the money on the bullseye. And although I have the food, the energy out on the perimeter, it doesn't have to be on the perimeter. It could be like, right there. And you want to try to not knock this board too much, because it'll get disorganized and it'll be hard to know where to go. So he's a little bigger than that, but the spaces are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the 7th in the middle. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's really easy to figure out once you figure it out. It's not marked out by lines. It's marked out by the 3 sides of a hexagon. And we can see that this takes a lot of table space to set up, but it doesn't take too much table space to set up. Those red ones, those are life markers, and then the bars are your turns. And I've gone over that in another video previous. So the message is basically just a length, horizontal, vertical, or diagonal. If I'm not mistaken. Let me look at the rules. Yeah, it's just horizontal or vertical, which means spaces on this kind of board with the 18 point or the 18 side board. It's just how many spaces you want to travel. You can travel this way or any way you really want. So the attacks. There's 8 of them. You can see. Wind up to 2 mats away, horizontal or vertical to an unoccupied area. See, I had to change that. I actually messed up when I was making the rules. So I had to go and change that. And now the wind is up to 1 away, horizontal or vertical. The heat attack is same as wind, but 4 diagonals, 1 mat away. Odor is any perimeter of a mat, 1 horizontal or vertical away. So the entire perimeter, like if you go up to here, 1 away would be there. You go up to here and 1 away. This entire mat, except for the bullseye, would be a hittable spot. And I came to a spot where I was testing it out in the game room at the Spokane Community College, and I had enough money for all the attacks, but I couldn't make the attacks even though I was pretty close. But previously, my other player, this guy, could make the attack, so I made the attack with him, and I couldn't with him. So it gets to that point sometimes where you can't make an attack, even if you can afford it. The barometer, entire structure, perimeter, like the entire structure, the whole perimeter of the entire thing can be attacked, but not these two, and not spaces in the middle, and not bullseyes. Noise 1 or 2 spaces away from your message would be 1, 2. Like the message ends here because you have a message of length of 6. So you can go from 1 to 6 with your message, and then right here would be 1 or 2, or 1 or 2. But that would also be 1. So it's 1 or 2 away. Radiation is the same, except they can go up to 3. And when I say that, I mean that you can go 1, 2, or 3. Just because you have a 6 on your attribute of maybe your respect, which is your movement length, horizontal or diagonal, in other words, space to space on this kind of modular board, even if your respect is 6, you can travel 5. You can't travel 7. See, the money is actually your logic too. Your logic is L, and your faith is F. Logic is your offensive, and faith is your defensive. And you want your logic to be greater than their faith. And you might look, and it's like, well, they have a faith of 6, and I got a logic of 1. What do I got to do to get up to that point where 6 minus 6 equals 0? Well, you collect money on the board, and you roll for the value. Like, let's say the glimmer on this, I don't know, but the understanding I have of it is a 5. So I roll in each turn. This counts as a turn. That's a 4. There's my turn. But let's say I roll a 5, and that means I can pick it up. But wait, there's one more thing you got to do. 2. It's worth 2. So you write down 2 on your piece of paper. One of your dollar bills is worth 2. The rest of them, the 5 right here, they're worth 1. And it's pretty easy to keep track of. You just write 2 on a piece of paper. You know that one of those bills is worth 2. You can write a slash or like a slash for 2 after it to denote that 2 of your bills however you want to do it. After each turn, you remove one block away. If you die, you remove one life. Your character doesn't move. But when you attack somebody, you stay there, and then the next turn, you can't attack that person again. So, you also get a die roll, which in this case is a 1, and let's say your respect is 6, that means you can move 7 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which might actually bring you closer. So you might want to skip that. But if he's like right here, and he attacks you and you're over here, that little difference, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you might just want to move 2 or 3. I guess that would be 5. 4 or 5. So you're not too close to them, and you can attack in that turn, but they can't attack you in that turn. And after you use an attack, you flip it over and remove all the little pips on it. And you can only attack 8 times within 6 turns. After that 6th turn, of course you won't be able to, because each attack is a turn. But you can only use your attacks once in that 6th turn phase. And then after that, you change out. You don't have to wipe off the entire thing of the pips. You just change out the ones that you need or don't need, so that you have their proper amount for this phase. And then your life, stays, what it was. And your bars go back to normal. Another thing about the game is you have a desire, a D value. And that D value is how many tokens right along with you that are black. And what that denotes is how long you can stay on one map. Like, he could stay there and roll, 4 times for that dollar, do whatever the hell he wants, try to attack, wait for you to get closer, whatever he wants to do. But you can only stay 4 turns according to your desire. And then you automatically have to move to an adjacent map, anyone you want, as long as the space is unoccupied. There's 7 spaces per map and 10 maps. It looks small, but it's actually rather big. Like, moving too far is completely possible, because if you move too far, you could be within range, or you can be out of range for attacking, which isn't good. When you collect an energy, this one is worth 3. That means all your values go up to 3, and all your product costs, your attack costs, go down 3. So if your attack is 1 and it goes down 3, of course it's going to cost you 0. So it costs you 0 to make that attack. And you have your dollars that you collect, and there's 50 of them in the bag. There's 5, 10, 20 right here. That means there's 30 more. So you use the money for a couple different things. Another thing that you can roll for is your security once you get a dollar bill. You just go back onto the bullseye, you stay there, you roll your security. That's 5. That means if it takes with his message and his attack 5 to reach you, it actually takes him 10, because you rolled a 5, and that only lasts for 1 turn. Or, well, I think it lasts as long as you're on the bullseye, but there's a limited amount of time that you can be on that bullseye, because there's a limited time you can be on the map. I haven't gone over the rules since I bought the game. I've gone over and I've corrected some things here and there, but I don't have them all memorized. So I've gone over the rules, I just don't have them committed to memory yet. So that the white indicates how long you can keep your energy. The 3 up, the 2 up, or the 1 up. This is a 2. It's soda. Popcorn is worth 1. Or no, it's worth 2. Soda's worth 1. I'm sorry. But you have a stack of white ones, and that denotes how long. After a turn of not using it, or a turn of having it, because you could use it twice if you want. A turn of than 2. But this would actually only be 1. Wait, no, it'd be 2. It's 1 above what they're worth. So that would be, you can keep that for 2 turns, but you can keep the popcorn for 3 turns, and you can keep the hot dog for 4 turns. And you only have 4 each that you can use. So if you're using the hot dog one, you can't get any more energy because you can't keep it for any more turns because you got all your white used. After your energy starts to run out, 2, like that means I can get a pop if I want to, and use that energy for 2 turns. So it's pretty handy to have. It knocks the attack cost down, and it makes everything else more powerful. Of course, it ups your understanding, so you got to remember that your understanding number would be whatever it is. 5, it could go up to like 6. And the last thing you want to do on your turn is you want to draw something from the blue bag. You draw a purple, and they draw blue. That means nothing. It goes back in the bag. But if they drew a purple too, boom. That means that you take your E value, your eloquence, and you pay them that much money. Right now I don't have that set up, but let's say it was a 4 for eloquence. That means that I would be able to pay you 4 and you wouldn't be able to attack me. And if you can't attack me at all because you attacked in the previous turn, that means 2 turns you can't attack me. These are known as worker discs. So there's 3 bags, one filled with money. That's every money is the same. The other one is filled with energy. After all the money is run out on the board, you can replace it with more money until there's no more money. Which means you can replace it 3 more times. 4 phases. And you don't have to deplete all your... well, it goes to 6, so there's no real time limit on the game. The only time limit is how many you can capture of the other guy. And I played, and I set it up, and I played a little bit by myself as a newbie, and even forgot the worker chits, and it took me 80 minutes. So, like, maybe half that is playtime. So, 40 to 45 minutes for a phase, and one capture in that phase could be like 4.5 hours, if my math is right. So this is potentially a 4 to 6 hour game. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think that's it. I think that's pretty much covered it. If your respect is 6, you can move 5. You know, your movement. You wouldn't really want to do that with your logic and power, or your logic and faith. Maybe I can go over what each of the letters stand for. I'm not going to really go too far into it. Faith, defensive number. Logic, offensive number. Understanding must match the glimmer of the hologram on the bill, which is, you know, it just virtually there. It's not really there. The hologram is essentially the $sign. Nonchalance, maybe pay this amount to offender in an attack to prevent offense 1 time in a 6-turn cycle. Flip over a card after removing coins once used. Patience, the same thing except for defense. Respect as your movement. Message, how far away you can preach from with your logic to reach the opponent. Faith and distance. Eloquence, the ability to negotiate. Desire, how long you can stay on the mat. Glimmer, asset security. We went over that. So again, if you're you can move and you can attack in the same turn. So you can do a respect and you can do a logic in the same turn. Like you might want to move here and then you do your logic. But first you got to do your message. So your message is maybe 1 over on a, reaches you 1 over. You're not moving there. You're just, you know, virtually shouting in there your message until he gets it. which is 6 turns, or not turns, but 6. Well, it is 6 turns. It's 6 attacks. The reason why I did that is I just wanted everything in the game to be 6 because of everything in the game being 6 for like that whole thing. So from the point of the message ending, if it's like a 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then you got to go to adjacent mat or an adjacent mat. You can't do on this mat. You can't use that attack. But maybe you could use the perimeter attack and attack all the perimeter. You get him one time. And again, you track it with the meeples. And it really does take a while to learn how to play and do it correctly. I would think like 2 games before you'd really not have to check the rules. Get that memorized. Maybe even 3 or 4. But my parents probably have meeple toss memorized because of them playing it so much. I love that my niece, who's like 21, loves the game. That's awesome. And this isn't for sale on the Game Crafter yet. It will be in a couple of weeks. What's for sale on the Game Crafter is Cafeteria Uprising, which I've gone over and over again. A lot of people seem to want it, so I'm waiting to see if they'll sell. I don't know, maybe they will, maybe they won't. We'll see. And you know it's me because of the Batman pants that I wear half the time.